You're in the boxing ring and your opponent is dominating you. You're not able to get any punches off, and what's happening? He's either smothering you or he's just getting out of your distance. So you, as a southpaw fighter, are unable to land any punches. So what do? In today's video, I want to walk you through 3 things you can do to close the distance on your orthodox fighter as a southpaw, fight on the inside, and get out without getting hit. Imagine you're in the ring right now and you're working with an orthodox fighter. And one of the things that you're having a problem with is he's just out of your range, or he shoots a shot and he gets out and you're not able to close the distance on him. You're not able to get any of your punches off. And so, as a southpaw, it can be pretty frustrating because when you're trying to close the distance, your orthodox fighter is either moving out to his left and he's keeping his lead foot on the outside of yours, so it's kind of difficult for you to close the distance and fight on the inside. So what we want to walk through today is 3 things you can do to close the distance on your orthodox fighter and land punches while you're on the inside and get out effectively or smother your orthodox fighter so they're not able to get any punches off against you. So the very first thing you need to think of as you're going to walk through these drills is you can do them with a bag, you can do them without a bag. I just like to use the bag because it's a point of reference and you can see the distance that's being closed, and you being able to see the distance being closed, you know what I'm going to do when I'm going to the body or if I'm slipping a punch. So as we set up, get in our boxing stance, you're having an issue with, so imagine that this is your orthodox fighter and he's just out of range from you. So what do? You can try and close the distance with the jab, but that's probably not working. So the first thing you want to do to close the distance is use what your orthodox fighter is going to consistently do, and that's probably throw a jab or lead with a jab. So as your orthodox fighter tries to lead with his left hand jab, what you want to do is you're in range of him hitting you with a jab, you're in range with you hitting him with his jab. But to change things up, what you want to do is, as your orthodox fighter is throwing that jab, you want to keep your hands up and simply, as the jab comes in, you slip, shoot that left hand. And you see that I close the distance with my left hand. And then I come back out. So that's the first step in trying to close the distance as your orthodox fighter is shooting that left jab. So as you're in your boxing stance, you're far enough away from your orthodox fighter where you can't land a punch and you're trying to close the distance, but you've been frustrated because you can't close the distance with that jab. So what you want to do is, as you're in your boxing stance, you're going to wait for your orthodox fighter to shoot his jab, and instead of trying to knock it down or block it, you're going to slip and shoot your left hand. Try it again. Slip. And you'll see that my foot comes forward a little bit, I shift my weight to the right. So as I do this, I'm far enough away from the bag where I have to close the distance, imagining it's my orthodox fighter. And the punch is targeted for the chest area because as an orthodox fighter is throwing his jab, he's throwing his jab like this. You can possibly pop him upside in his head, but you want to aim for the chest because if you stop them right before he gets full extension on his jab with your left hand, you've used his momentum against him and you're able to close the distance. So now that you've closed the distance and you're inside on your orthodox fighter with that slip in left hand, what do you do next? So you're gonna slip, you're inside, you're not close enough to shoot to the body, so what you wanna do is you wanna widen your boxing stance a little bit. So as you widen it with a punch. You'll see that I stepped in here, and then I want to come up top with another hook. And then I want to slip out with my hands up. Hands up, we're going to do this in real time. So my orthodox fighter is about to shoot a jab. I'm waiting, and I come out with my hands up. Yes, I move back, I move to the left. Because most likely, if I shot that body shot and shot that hook, and I connected with both of those punches, my orthodox fighter isn't going to move this way because I hit him with 2 punches. So I moved backwards and to the left on an angle because if he stumbled this way or he moved this way, now I'm in an opportunistic position to shoot another left hand or pop with a jab. That's what you need to think about when you're closing the distance on your orthodox fighter. And you want to shoot a couple punches on the inside. Because as you close the distance with that left hand, you're going to step in, widen your boxing stance with your right foot as you shoot the body, shoot up top, and then you angle off. Because you need to think of where's your orthodox fighter going to go next. Probably is going to go to his right. And as he goes to his right and you slipped out, you can now shoot another left hand or pop off with the jab, stay to the outside of your orthodox fighter. The first combination that you can use to close the distance and start landing punches on the inside of your orthodox fighter. The second thing you can do as you want to close the distance against your orthodox fighter and fight on the inside is you want to keep your hands up and imagine that he's throwing that jab. And as he's throwing that jab, instead of trying to lead with that left hand and use his momentum against him, what you're going to do is you're going to slip, come here with the hook. It's a very light hook. And so you want to slip, come here with the hook, and as you throw that hook, you're using your momentum to come here, shoot, and then 4-punch combination that will help you close the distance. My feet didn't move that much. And the reason is because I want to make sure that when I'm landing that first hook, I'm making good contact. I'm shifting my hips into that left hand, and now, when I'm landing that left hand, I could probably take a step in, close the distance, and now I'm inside against my orthodox fighter. So I'm here, and my hands are up. So I can stay on the inside, stay protected, or I can pop out with my hands up. I can slip to the outside. So those are 2 things I can do after I throw that 4-punch combination. I close the distance. How did I do it? So I'm waiting for my orthodox fighter. He shoots his jab. I slip. I throw a pretty light hook, shoot with the left hand, come here, and I can continue to smother my opponent. Or, as I said, I can slip, come to the outside, and do whatever I want after that. Now, that 4-punch combination is something that you have to practice with timing. And it's not pretty, it's not perfect, because sometimes as you slip to the outside, your orthodox fighter may throw another jab as you're coming over with that hook. And so what you want to think of is if you put everything you got in that hook and your orthodox fighter is going to pop off another jab, you need to be cognizant, you need to be aware that you need to come with another punch to stop that jab coming from your orthodox fighter. And that's why I like to follow up with, after I'm here, my orthodox fighter throws that jab, I slip, I go here, most likely he may throw another jab, I slip here, use his momentum against him, I'm loaded on my right foot, I'm going to close the distance now, and I can just stay inside and smother my orthodox fighter. It's the second combination that you can do, and as you're doing this combination, make sure you're aware that sometimes you may not land all 4 punches. If you can land 2 or 3 of those punches effectively, it's a pretty good combination. So just remember, as you're slipping, be aware that you want to shoot that left hand as fast and as quick as you can after that hook. So I'm going to imagine my orthodox fighter is going to shoot a jab, waiting, and I moved out backwards. Now I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to move out to the inside. Waiting. Orthodox fighter is, I slip, and I went outside with the jab. So that's why I said you can do a couple different things as you execute that 4-punch combination. The last thing that you can do to close the distance and work on the inside against your orthodox fighter is your jab. So if your orthodox fighter is having a lot of success landing his right hand against you, maybe he's leading with it, maybe he's throwing an effective 1-2, how do you stop that right hand? So what you want to do is, you want to imagine that your orthodox fighter is about to shoot a right hand. And as he shoots a right hand, you're far enough away that you can just touch him with your jab, possibly. So what you want to do is you want to wait for that right hand that's coming from your orthodox fighter. And as that right hand is about to shoot, you're going to step to the inside, stop him dead in his tracks, come over with the looping left hand, look where I am. I'm on the inside now of my orthodox fighter. I can come with the body shot, come with this again. So it's a little bit of a different variation of the second combination we just worked on. So as you're waiting for your orthodox fighter to shoot that jab, you want to step to the inside with your jab using your orthodox fighter's momentum against him. Because as he's going to shoot that right hand, you want to stop him, come over with a looping left hand, and you can move to the inside now. And for those of you that say, oh, you should never move to the inside of your right hand fighter, or never move to your orthodox fighter's right hand, please stop, go watch successful southpaw boxers and see how many of them all move to the inside of their orthodox fighter. Every single one of them does. What you want to imagine now is your orthodox fighter is throwing his jab. As he's throwing his jab, you want to just keep it out of your face, and as soon as he throws that right hand, you want to step, come over with that left hand. Everything's on your right foot right now, and you throw 2 very hard right hands, one to the body and one up top. And the reason you do this is because you want to land as many punches as you can, and sometimes throwing punches in bunches and using your opponent's momentum against them is the best way to guarantee that your punches are going to land and that you're going to get the most amount out of your punches. So as you work on these 3 drills, think of other ways that you can close the distance and stay on the inside briefly, land punches, and then get the fuck out. Because for me as a tall fighter, I learned how to fight on the inside when I was a really young kid. But as I got taller and taller, I realized that I can still fight on the inside, but why would I fight someone else's fight as a disadvantage to myself? So as a southpaw, whether you're tall like me or shorter, think of ways that you close the distance, land punches, and use your opponent's momentum against them. And as you use your opponent's momentum against them, figure out ways to either smother them so they can't throw any punches against you, and then get out just in time before they start throwing more punches or before you're able to block yourself. Because what you want to do is, as you're in the ring against an orthodox fighter or a southpaw fighter, whatever you do, you want to minimize the amount of times that you give your opponent the opportunity to hit you. And sometimes it could be smothering your fighter, keeping very close, and other times it could be popping out and keeping just out of range, having just the right amount of distance not to get hit. What are your thoughts? Are these three combinations for closing the distance and working on the inside something that you can implement in your training session or in your sparring session? Let me know in the comments down below.